Dead Space, 1991 review. Dead Space is a lesser-known gem in the science fiction horror genre, directed by Fred Gallo and produced by the legendary B-movie mogul Roger Corman. It's a direct homage and unofficial remake of Forbidden World, 1982, another one of Corman's productions. Both films share a similar premise, but Dead Space brings a more 90s flair to the table, with a solid mix of horror, sci-fi, and action. Plot overview. The story of Dead Space is set on a remote, deteriorating space station called the Salvage, where a group of crew members led by the resourceful Captain Sam Scully Daniels, played by Marc Singer, is tasked with investigating a mysterious signal. The crew stumbles upon a bioengineered creature that has escaped and is now wreaking havoc on the station, killing off members one by one. Much like Alien, the space station becomes a claustrophobic and tense environment where the team must figure out how to survive and stop the creature from reaching Earth. The bioengineered creature is a Frankenstein-esque monster created for a military experiment gone awry. This genetically modified organism, much like the xenomorph from Alien, is an unstoppable force, and its increasingly grotesque appearance heightens the horror factor. The parallels to Alien are clear. Both films feature small teams trapped in confined spaces, facing a deadly alien that slowly picks them off. Characters and performance. Marc Singer is the standout here as Captain Scully. Singer, best known for his role in V, 1983, where he played Mike Donovan, a journalist fighting against the alien visitors, brings his usual tough guy persona to the role. Captain Scully is a rugged action hero type, someone who's capable, resourceful, and ultimately sympathetic in his efforts to protect his crew. While he doesn't bring the depth of some more nuanced action heroes, he's solid in the role, and his charisma holds the film together. Singer's portrayal as an action hero is familiar, echoing his role in Beastmaster, 1982, where he played Dar, a warrior who befriends animals to take down an evil sorcerer. The animalistic qualities of his character in Beastmaster translate well here into Dead Space, where Scully's raw physicality and survival instincts are crucial to surviving the alien threat. Comparison to Forbidden World and Alien. As mentioned, Dead Space is a remake of Forbidden World, a low-budget 80s horror flick. Both films explore similar themes of corporate greed, unethical science, and the consequences of experimenting with life forms in space. However, Dead Space updates the creature design and the level of gore, making it more in line with the 90s horror trends. In comparison to Alien, 1979, Dead Space doesn't quite reach the same heights in terms of suspense, atmosphere, or depth. Ridley Scott's Alien is a masterpiece of tension, carefully unfolding the horror of a seemingly unstoppable alien while developing complex characters. Dead Space, however, leans more into action and gore, with a quicker pace and less subtlety. The lack of a truly terrifying atmosphere makes it feel more like a straightforward creature feature, but that doesn't necessarily take away from its entertainment value. It's a fun ride if you're into B-movie sci-fi horror.
Marc Singer's career.
Marc Singer's career is rooted in 80s and 90s genre films, and his role in Dead Space fits nicely into the action-heavy B-movie landscape. His role in V as Mike Donovan, the journalist who leads a resistance against alien invaders, remains one of his most iconic. He returned to the role in the V miniseries revival in the 2000s, but it was his work in Beastmaster that cemented him as a cult action hero. Beastmaster, 1982, is perhaps his most beloved role, where he starred as Dar, a warrior with the ability to communicate with animals. The film gained a huge following, largely thanks to its combination of sword and sorcery action and quirky charm. It has since become a classic of the fantasy genre. While Singer's other roles weren't as widely recognized as his work in V or Beastmaster, he remained a steady presence in TV movies and genre films throughout the 80s and 90s. Themes and legacy. Dead Space doesn't quite break new ground in terms of themes, but it does reflect the growing popularity of horror sci-fi hybrids during the late 80s and early 90s. It plays with concepts of bioengineering and corporate experimentation, themes that were already explored in Alien and the Terminator franchise. The movie touches on the consequences of playing God with technology and how these creations can come back to bite their creators. The legacy of Dead Space is less about its influence on cinema and more about its place within Roger Corman's catalog of schlocky, entertaining B-movies. Much like Forbidden World before it, Dead Space is remembered for its campy, fun approach to the sci-fi horror genre. It doesn't have the same cultural footprint as Alien or The Terminator, but it still has a devoted following among fans of low-budget sci-fi horrors and Corman's particular brand of filmmaking. In the broader scope of 80s and 90s sci-fi horror, Dead Space is a curious entry. It's a product of its time, filled with practical effects, slimy creature designs, and an action-packed storyline that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's certainly worth watching for fans of Marc Singer and those who enjoy a good old-fashioned space horror flick.